Hi everyone. Last class we have been discussing about transactional control and we discussed OOPs. In OOPs there are different types are there: class, object, method. And coming to class, we have a parent class and child class. Parent class is nothing but a outer class or master class or top class. Child class is nothing but a inner class, inherited class or secondary class. Class is divided into the three variables: variable, method, class. So we have seen with the example how to declare a class. Inside the class, how to declare a variable, how to declare a method, how to declare a class within the class. Right? We have seen the example. So yesterday, whenever we created the class, we created with the access modifier public, right? Yesterday we created a couple of classes. Let me go to the developer console. Yeah, these are the classes which we created yesterday. And everywhere we have used the public. Everywhere we have used the access modifier as public. Right? So why public? We'll see today. And some of the coding standards we will see today. Okay, so let's go ahead and create another class. Okay. Yesterday we were creating a class from here, like searching the Apex classes. When I click on a new, it shows a blank value. It shows a blank page, empty page it shows. But in developer console, when I go to the developer console, file, new, Apex class. How to create an Apex class? File, click on a file, click on new, then click on a Apex class. Right? Give your class name starting with CL. CL nothing but a class. And also it is better to mention the date. See, today is 14/06. And let's say I'm creating the example for calculation. I'm creating the example for calculation. So here, whenever I create it, the blueprint, the structure of the skeleton structure gets created here in the developer console. When it comes to the Apex class, we will get blank page, right? So that is the benefit using the developer console. Now let me go ahead and declare a variable integer R. Now yesterday we created a integer method class, right? So today we will understand what is the difference between the public, why to use the public. Let's understand why is it so mandatory to have a public class, public access modifier, public variable, public method, why it is so important. So what I'll do is one variable, I'll declare it simply as integer R, and another variable I'll declare it as public integer. One, I'm declaring the variable without any access modifier. And second variable, I'm declaring it with the access modifier of public. Right? And let me declare a method, public. We started using the void method. Void, let me say area calculate. Right, this is one method. Let me create another method without any access modifier. Without any access modifier. Right? So what is this means? When I do not mention any access modifier, by default, the system will take it as a private. That means wherever you do not have a access modifier, that means this variable, this is a class variable, because I'm writing the variable inside the class. This is the class, then I'm writing the variable. So that means this is a class variable. Class variable, if I do not mention any access modifier, then by default, system will assume it as this is a private, right? And this is also private method. Private method. Now, what is the difference if I declare a public, if I do not declare a public? How the difference is going to be in my logic? Okay, we'll understand that. We'll understand how to do that. Now, this is a class variable, like, right? So when we discussed, I think 3 days back, when we were discussing about the variable, there are 3 types of variables are there, right? Local variable, instance variable, class variable. Class variable is nothing but the variable which is declared inside the class. Inside the class, when we declare the variable which is called as a class variable, and whereas instance variable is nothing but in the method we will give the parameters that is going to refer. We will mention some variable that is required for this method in order to go ahead and do the logic. In order to implement the logic, we need these parameters or these variables. Whenever we declare a variable inside the method, inside this bracket, okay, on the declaration of method, if I declare it integer L, integer B, this is called as an instance method. Instance method. Now back to local variable. What is a local variable? The variable which is declared inside the method. The variable which is declared inside the method is called as a local variable. Local variable, or it could be, we call it as a method variable. What is that means? Local variable means I can access this variable AR. I can access between the starting of the curly brace and ending the curly brace. From 6 to 8, whatever the logic I write it, only between this method only I can access this variable. If I wanted to access the variable in the second method, I cannot access, because this is declared as a local variable. This is declared within the method. This is declared within the method, right? So write down the definition of class variable. Class variable is nothing but variable declared at the class level. Variable declared at the class level and access throughout the program is called class variable. What does that mean? Access throughout the program. That means if I declare a variable in the class, right? If I declare a variable in the class, then these variables R and R1 can be accessed within this class, can be accessed anywhere within this class. If it is a declared public, if you have declared a variable as a public, then this should be accessed anywhere within the program, throughout the program. If I wanted to use it in area calculate 2, anywhere if I wanted to use, or if another class is calling this class, they can also use this integer R1, right? But when I do not have an access modifier as a public, and I have not mentioned any access modifier here, that means this is called as a private variable. When it is a private variable, this could be accessed within the class. I cannot access outside of the class. I cannot access outside of the class. What is that means is, if I open Paint, now I have a one class here and there is a class 2 here. This is the class 1. And this is class 2, Apex class 2. Right? Apex class 2 is calling the class 1. It is calling the class 1. This is calling the class 1. Let's assume that class 1 has a integer R. And also it has a public integer R1. Ideally, when this class 2 access the class 1, when this calls the class 1, it can only take the variables that has a public. That means in this class 2, if I wanted to access a class 1 variables, I can access only the R1. Class 1 dot R1. I can access only R1. If I try to access class 1 dot R, then what will happen? It is going to throw me an error. It says that you do not have a flexibility to use R. R is private because I have not mentioned any access modifier. This particular integer R can be accessed throughout this class 1. But if you wanted to go out from somebody is calling from the outside, or I'm executing something from the outside, we cannot use this integer R. If I declare a public, that means this could be accessed within this class as well as this could be accessed from another class or another system. Whoever is calling this class, they can access this public integer R1. So that is the difference. For the local variable, I can access only within this method. I cannot access here. If I try to access, it is going to throw me an error. It is going to throw me an error saying that it's not declared. It is not declared. Variable does not exist AR because this is a local variable that is declared within the method. But I can access, I can access the class variables. I can access class variables. I can access class variables. Class variables can be either it is private or public, can be accessed throughout the program. And moving on to the next one, instance variable. Instance variable. Instance variable is nothing but variable declared in method. In method executed. When the initialization occurs is called. When the initialization occurs. That means instance variable is nothing but it is declared within the method execute. Within the method execute. When I'm declaring the method, during that time, we execute this. This is also called as a parameter. In real time, we call this as a parameters. This is also called parameter. How many parameters does this area calculate has? 2 parameters, integer L, integer B. So while initialization or whenever we are executing the method, that time we pass the variable or we declare the variable. Next, local variable or method. Local variable or method variable. What is it? Variable declared inside a method. Variable declared inside a method and accessible only to that particular method. Only it is accessed by that method, right? Which is called as a local variable. Local variable is nothing but variable that is declared or initialized within the method is called as a local variable. And there is a difference between the local variable and class variable. There is a difference between the local variable and class variable. Local variable does not have a access modifiers. Local variable does not have a access modifier. You cannot declare local variable as a public. It is going to throw an error. Whereas class variable can be declared as public, private, protected, global, anything if you want, we can declare it. But local variables restricted. You cannot use the access modifier. Now let me go ahead and write the program so that you will get the clarity. Now inside this area calculation, okay, let's say AR equal to L multiply B. Now I'll print system.debug'The. System.debug'The. The area is where I'm storing it. AR is the variable, right? And same thing, I'll declare it in the void area calculation tool because I'm going to show you that. I'll write the same logic. Because I just wanted to show you what is the difference if I use the access modifier public, if I do not use the access modifier for the method. Both has the same logic, right? Both has a same logic. Now let me execute this. How to execute the class? Debug, open execute anonymous window. Clear everything. And first, you have to declare it. You have to declare, let's say A equal to new class name. As per the OOPS, you have to have a object. That means objects are created from the class. How are we? This is A is the object here. What I'm doing it, I'm taking the class, right? I'm initializing it. Right, whenever I do this, like I'm creating an object. Here the object is called as A. Object is called A. That means how the object get created here, object is created from the class. Object is created from the class. Now if I wanted to access any method from this object, A dot, what are the things that I have? Area calculate. Right? And what are the parameters that are expected? 2 parameters it is expecting it. Let's take 30, 50. Both are integer. Both the parameters have the integer. Which one I am executing? The one which has a access modifier public. That method I'm executing it here. Let's highlight this, click on execute. I'm executing the class right now. Okay, the name is AreaCalc. highlight, execute the highlighted one, debug. Now 1500 is coming, right? What I'm doing, I'm multiplying. What did I give? 30 into 50, 1500. Fine. Now same thing, we'll try to execute the second one. Observe this. I do not have any different logic here. I have the same logic. If this is working fine, then this should also work fine. Now let me execute the another method. That has a private. Highlight this, execute it. Method is not visible. That means if we declare or if we do not declare a access modifier, if I do not declare a access modifier, then this particular method or integer will not be exposed to another class or another system, right? Here from the different anonymous window, I'm executing it. That means I'm executing the code which is outside of the class. Somewhere I'm executing it here, right? But it says that method is not available because it seems we have not declared an access modifier here. That means this is a private. If I declare this as a public, now let's say execute it. See, it is executed. Because it was having a private or we did not declare an access modifier, that means that particular method cannot be exposed to the another class, cannot be exposed to the another system. That will be within that particular class. It's a restriction. You cannot expose that particular class. Now, can I declare multiple? Can I run the multiple area calculation? Yes, you can run it. How many you want, you can run it. There is no limit on this. Whichever the one you wanted to run, you can run it. There is no limit at all. If you wanted to run this method 100 times, you can run it 100 times. If you want to run it one time, you can run it one time. So there is no limitation. See here, 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. Again, 1,500. Right? So this is something we call like you have written some logic in one method, right? You have written a logic in one method. And if 100 classes are required this method, same logic it is required in another classes also. What you can do, simply you can first create an object, then call that particular method which is having the business logic that is used for another class also. You can call this. So that means these are called as a reusable methods. These are called as a, in real time, we call it as a reusable methods. Now let me create a new class. Let's see. Class 1406. Let's say that greater of 3 numbers. We have seen this example by writing on the anonymous window. So same logic that I'm going to implement in the Apex class. Greater of 3 numbers. Greater of 3 numbers. And one more tip, in real time, whenever you are declaring a class, or whenever you are declaring a method, right, it has to be meaningful. Because if tomorrow somebody comes and verify this, if somebody comes tomorrow, they just look at the classes here. By looking at the classes, we should understand what the logic has written inside this. Here, site register controller. That means something related to registration. Here, client side pagination. So something related to pagination we have. This class is getting the account. This class is creating the account. Right? Based on the class, we should understand what is the logic that was written inside this. So it has to be meaningful name for the program class. It should be meaningful name for the method. What is the each method the logic has written inside this? This is area calculation, right? So everything has to be meaningful. Then only if tomorrow somebody newly joined, they can understand by going to the code, what is the logic that is written inside this class. Now, I'm creating the new class, greater of 3 number. Okay, I'll not declare any variable here. I'll simply go ahead and create a void method. Void method. What are we doing? Calculating it. Calci. And let's assume that we need a 3 numbers. That means I need a 3 input parameters. Integer, num1, integer, num2, integer, num3. Integer num3. Now we wanted to identify greater of 3 numbers. Out of these 3, num1, num2, num3, which integer or which one is the highest, right? So in order to know that, we have to use the loop. This is a if condition. If else, if else, else if else, right? I need to have a if condition. Then this is for the first one, else if. This is for second one. Then third one, I need to have a else condition, right? Now, what is the first one? Let's assume that I'm going to cross verify num1 with num2. Is it greater than num2? And also num1 is greater than num3. Is it greater than num3? That means number 1 is highest. System.debug the greater number is plus number. Now, this is, I'm going to verify num2. Num2 I'm going to verify with num1, and num2 I'm going to verify with num3. And then I'm going to say system.debug which one, num2 is the highest one. Else, simply say that num3. Right? This is the logic. Okay, this is the logic, right? So we know this if condition, if loop. So we used to do we did it in the anonymous window, the same thing logic. Now what I'm doing, I'm writing it inside the class. I'm writing it inside the class. Now let me execute this class. How many methods it has? It has only one method. It has only one method, that is a calci. So let me go ahead and execute this method, this class. First, let's create an object. Return new class name. Now, x dot. How many methods I have? Only one method. Inside that, I have a 3 parameters. It is expecting a 3 parameters. Num1, num2, num3. So I have to pass 3 integers. Let's assume that 45, 77, 99. 45, 77, 99. Now highlight this, execute it. Which one? 99 is the highest. So that is the else condition we are printing it. It is from the 13th line, right? What is the 13th line? This is the else condition, right? So it is working fine. Now, can I declare it multiple times? Let's go ahead and declare it multiple times. For 45, 77. Now let me execute this. This time 3 debug logs are going to come up, but each one from different line. First it is coming at 13th line it is printing. And next it is printing the 445 from 6th. That is first if condition is qualified. Next 10th line 777. So second else if condition is satisfied and it is executing it. Now, can I declare a multiple times of, can I create an object multiple times? Yes, you can create it. Also, objects also can be created multiple times. Let's say that 33, 43, 55. For 43, 333. I can execute it all together also. Debug. See, it is repeating it. First 3 is coming from first object. Second 3 are coming from the second object that we created, Y. Now let's assume that here I'll create another method, void multiplication. Now let me use the 3 parameter, integer A, integer B, integer C. Now inside this logic is, let me declare a result, integer R result R equal to A, multiplication B, multiplication C. From where these variables are coming on? These are instance variables coming from the method. So let me go ahead and print the R. Let me change the text. The multiplication of 3 numbers. Three numbers, right? Integer R equal to A multiplication B multiplication C, then I'm printing it. Perfect, let's save it. If I execute this mult, will it get executed if I write y dot mult 10, 20, 29, 30? Will this be executed? If I run this one, what will happen? If I run this, what will happen? What is the output that I'm going to get it?
Multiplication of all numbers.
Let's see. Let's highlight this. Okay, and click on execute. It doesn't give me the multiplication because method is not visible. What is the reason for that? Because we have not declared the access modifier here.
Okay, it's private.
Access modifier we have not declared it. So I'm trying to execute the method from outside of this class, from the anonymous window. So it gives the error saying that this mult method is not available inside the class as it does not have the access modifier. But within this class, I can call mult. Within this class, I can call mult. Let's say mult. I'm passing the same num1. Anyway, 3 integers are required. Num1, num2, num3. Right? I'm calling this method from method calculate. I'm calling this method from calculate method. We are in the same class. We are in same class. In same class, whether it is a private or public or it does not have the access modifier, I can call it. There will not be any issue. Now let me save this. Now let me execute. Just I'm executing the first method. If I execute the first method, what will happen? The cursor will come here. It will cross verify and print the value. Then it will come here. It will come here. Then finally it comes to the 15th line. 15th line, it says that you are calling a method. You are calling a method. So in order to call the method in the Apex class, you just need to use the method name here. Whatever the method name you have, the same method name you have to put, and what are the parameters are it required, pass it. Now it should give me 51, 55 is the highest, and then multiplication of all these numbers. Now highlight that, execute the highlighted one. Check the debug log. See, multiplication of 3 numbers it gave, and the greater number is 55. Greater number is 55. So far, is it clear? What will happen if you do not use the access modifier public? Okay, let's create another class. Apex class CL underscore 1406 underscore. This is a, let's say that sum of odd, even. Sum of odd and even. That means one method I needed for the event calculation. That means one method is need sum of even. Sum of even I need it. And second method is sum of odd. Sum of even, sum of odd. Based on the highest number. Right? Okay. So this we have seen already. Okay, let me create it. Void. And let's say that this is the even. even method, and I'm expecting the one parameter integer n. Now inside this, I'm declaring the count integer count equal to 0. And then this is the even number. Even number means if I open the Excel sheet, even number means 2, 4, 6, 8. And the odd number means 0, 1, 1, 3, right. Now if I give n equal to 20, if I give n equal to 20, means till 20, whatever the even numbers we have, sum them and give the result sum of even. If I give n equal to 21, if I give n equal to 21 and my option is odd, so till 21, whatever the odd numbers it has, sum up them and then give me the sum of the result, sum of the odd numbers, right? And then I have to store those values into the integer r equal to 0. Now we have to use the while loop here. While loop, because first thing I need to check the condition whether my n is less than count. So n is the one which we are giving it 20 or 21 or 40, 41 or whatever it is there. First check the condition. If the condition is satisfied, go ahead and increase the r equal to r plus 2, sorry, r plus count, because finally we are storing the count. Sum of my count and then increase the count to the 2. So first time count will be 0. So r is also 0. So this r will be 0. Now count is getting increased from 0 to 2, right? 0 to 2. Now my count is 2. 2 plus the r was having a 0. So now r became 2. Now again count is increased to 4. Because every time I'm adding the 2 to the count. So that's how we get the sum of even numbers. And finally, let me print system.debug. System.debug the sum of even numbers. The sum of even numbers. How many? Up to the given number. Up to the given number. Where are we storing it? We are storing it in R. Now same logic for the odd. Same logic we need it for odd. Let's copy this and let's create this, and this is for odd. We need same thing, but only the thing that is changed is count should be 1. Because 1 plus 2, 3. 3 plus 2, 5. So the odd number will be automatically calculated here. And here some of the odd numbers up to the given number. Right. The logic has written for the to sum the even number to sum the odd number. But these two are private method. These two are private method. That means I cannot access this method if I try to execute this class from the outside of this class. If I try to execute this class from anonymous window, it says that method not found because these two are private. So what I'll do is I'll create another condition here. Another method I'll create it here. Public void. Let's say it's a main method. Main method. What is required here? One thing I need to know whether it is number. What is the number that I need? I have to pass the number, integer x. Then second one, I need to know whether you want me to run even or odd, sum of even or sum of odd. So I need to pass the string. I need to pass the string. Now, if my y equal to even, if y equal to even, or else if y equal to odd, then else if both are not right, then what should happen? If it is a even, I wanted to execute the even method. I wanted to execute the even method by passing the x number. Same thing for odd. I wanted to execute the odd whenever the integer y, string y equal to odd. And I need to pass the number for odd. Else, let's print system.debug. System.debug looks like you are lost. Let's save this. Fine. So looks like you are lost. So what are we doing it? We have three methods. One is a main method, and then I have an even method to sum up, and then we have an odd method to sum up the odd numbers. And how many numbers I need to sum up? Based on the number that is passed to the odd. Now in the main method, I am checking the string. If it is a even, then I am calling the even. If it is a odd, then I am calling the odd method and passing the integer value. Now, how many methods will be accessed from the outside? We have three methods, but how many methods can be accessed from the outer side? Only one method I can access. I cannot access these two because this does not have an access modifier, or this has a private. No, so only one method can be accessed from outside. So let me create an object, new class name, v dot main method. How many parameters that I need to pass? Two parameters I need to pass. First one is integer, second one is even. What I'm doing, I'm executing the main method from the main method because I have a string even. As I have a string even, it will go and execute the even method. So I'm going to get the output of sum of even numbers. So right now I gave 20. Highlight this, execute the highlighted one. Click on debug. Sum up, oh, I did not calculate it. Why? even integer 0, r equal to r plus count, right? And then it is counting count plus 2. N is 20. And then I have a count here. Okay. Now I'm getting the 0 here. Integer r, I'm getting it as a 0. What is the reason for that? First of all, whether it is going inside this while or not. Let me check. Now it should be coming in the even integer n, right? System.debug n and system.debug count. Now r equal to r plus count, count equal to count plus 2. Then next while system.debug, I want inside the while plus I wanted to know the count. Highlight this, execute it. Okay, debug, open execute 20. Okay, highlight, execute it. Click on debug only, 20. And then 23 line it is coming. Okay, 23 line it is coming up. Okay. So what is the problem here? It should be other way. 20 less than 0 we are checking. So it never goes inside. It never goes inside. Till I reach 20, I wanted to go inside of this. Till my count reaches 20, I wanted to go inside. Once it reaches 20, I do not want to go inside. Right? So that is the problem. Same thing with here also. It should be greater than n greater than count. Now click on this, debug, execute the highlighted one. Check the debug only. See, okay. Now it is coming 90. Sum of even numbers up to 20 is 90. Now if I give even number 50, what is the count? 600. Right, let me go ahead and execute. 50. Highlight this, execute it. Debug only 600, right? That's the same count that we are getting from the Excel. If I give 51 odd, if I give 51 odd, then my count is 625. My count is 625. Sum of the odd numbers till 51 is 625. Now copy this. We wanted to execute the odd numbers. 50 odd. And let's go ahead and execute it. Debug. So this is 600, this is 625, right? This is sum of even number and this is sum of odd number. In case if it doesn't match, I said even or OD. I just gave EV or OD. Now what is the output that I'm going to get it? If I give EV or OD, what is the output that I'm going to get it?
Can you go back to that class now?
Okay.
Okay. They looks like your last it will come.
Right, because the value that I'm giving is EV or OD. But here I'm checking the specific word, right? If I try to execute it, it says that looks like you are lost. Why it is 2 times it is coming? Because I'm executing that method 2 times. In case if I see here, even or y equal to EV. y equal to or y equal to OD. Let's save that. No. Let me try to execute the same. On this time, I'm going to get the sum of even and sum of odd. Because I'm checking the OR condition here. I'm checking the OR condition, whether it is even, EV, odd, or OD. So that's about today's class. Basically, our focus was to understand what is the, if I do not write the access modifier, how it is going to, how this method is going to access by outside, or where should I need to access it. And second one, how to execute a class. Once I write the class, how to execute a class. So that's the class about today. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no questions, let me give you the homework. Okay. Write the program. Write the program to calculate sum of even number based on given number, as well as to calculate sum of odd number based on given number, and multiply final output of even number and odd number by 100. Print the final result. What is the final result? Even number multiply odd number by 100.
You are asking like to multiply the sum of even number by sum of odd number. Or,
Right.
Okay.
Sum of even number and sum of odd number. First sum it, even and odd. Then multiply. And after that, divide it by 100. In this entire result, whatever is there, store it into the final result. And finally print that result. And then trial head, let's go to the trial head. Okay, get started with platform developer, develop without code for Salesforce extend this line. Okay, so try to complete this, build Apex coding skills. Try to complete this trial head. And also complete the object-oriented programming for admins. Also complete the object-oriented programming for admins. These are the two trial heads. Fine. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.